So I wake up, and I have no idea where I am. The room seems really bright, and it smells like disinfectant. And when I try to move, everything hurts. I begin to look around the room, and I see my husband, Chris, is sitting next to my bed. And I realize that I'm in a hospital bed. And now I remember. I've just had heart surgery. 3 weeks ago, I had a sudden cardiac arrest, and my doctors discovered a congenital heart defect, which they've now just fixed. And in a couple days, they're going to implant a device into my chest to shock my heart in the event that my heart stops again in the future, because they say it might. I remember everything now. My nurse, Michelle, is also in the room with us, and she's giving me some post-op instructions. You can't put your arms above your head or behind your back, and you can't put any weight on your arms, okay? And I nod, because that seems like what she wants me to do. And I remind myself that as soon as this next surgery is over, I will finally get to go home after almost a month in this hospital, where I've had very little control over my body and what's happening to it. I am almost there. So the night before my second surgery, my husband Chris is in my room with me, as he usually is, and Michelle walks in. And she has someone with her I've never seen before, a trainee. Now, Michelle is in her 30s. She's really tall. She wears her hair in a tight ponytail that means business. And she has kind of the demeanor of someone who is just over everyone and everything. Her trainee is kind of the opposite. I don't know her name, but I call her baby nurse. Because she looks like she's not a day over 21, and she is like a full foot shorter than Michelle. I can barely see her if not for the giant smile plastered on her face, because it's her first day in the hospital and she is super excited to be here, which I find super annoying. Michelle begins to explain what needs to happen tonight to prep me for my procedure tomorrow. You can't have any more food or water, and you need a suppository to clear out your bowels, okay? So I don't get the impression that Michelle really likes anybody, but I think she is particularly irritated with me over the last few days because I have been attempting to reclaim my independence by bombarding her with questions and suggestions, which everybody loves at work. So she'll come in to bring me a medication, and I'll ask her to explain in detail why this medication has been chosen. Sometimes I ask for a substitution, like she's a server at Applebee's. And tonight I'd like a side of Xanax instead of a side salad, please, thanks. So I'm sure she is not looking forward to whatever nonsense is about to come out of my mouth. But I do not have time to mess with Michelle tonight because I've got to figure out how in the world I'm going to give myself this suppository. Because I gave myself a suppository before my heart surgery, but the landscape has changed now. Michelle has specifically told me that I cannot put my arms behind my back, which is sort of the most direct route to giving yourself a suppository. So I reason out that I'm gonna have to make my approach from the front. It's the only option, except that I've just been cracked open like a walnut, so I actually don't know how far over I can even bend. I'm gonna have to really go-go gadget arm this thing back to my rectum. This is gonna be really, really tricky. And I glance at Chris, and he notices the nervous expression on my face, and he raises his eyebrows as if to suggest, well, I could help you if you want. Yeah, no, there's no way that's gonna happen. No. First of all, that's an embarrassment that I am unwilling to endure. But second, I'm a little concerned that this could become a gateway to butt stuff in our marriage. Which I am not interested in. Hard pass. So I wave Chris off to let him know his assistance will not be required. And I hear Michelle say to baby nurse, normally a patient would do this themselves, but since she just had surgery, we're gonna have to do it for her. Now my attention is squarely back on Michelle because that seems entirely unnecessary to me. She must know that I can do this myself, that I'll figure it out. Is she gonna put this thing in my butt in front of my husband and this teenager to get back at me for being so annoying? Sorry, I lost my spot. Cheer me on, cheer me on. So I open my mouth to reason with Michelle, to try to explain to her that it doesn't have to go down like this. There's another way. But before I can say anything, she's rolling me onto my side and she's opening the back of my gown, and it's all happening so fast. And I can feel her cold hand touch my left glute, and suddenly my butt clenches like a vice. And I don't know who's more surprised by this show of force from my derriere, Michelle or me. But Michelle lifts her hand, and I think, oh, thank God, she's had a change of heart. She knows that this has gone too far. And I glance over my shoulder at Michelle, just in time to see her turn to baby nurse and say, I just realized that you've never done this before, so you should do it. What? No. My mind is on fire. Is Michelle fucking kidding me right now? It's baby nurse's first day in the hospital. She doesn't even know where the cafeteria is yet. And Michelle is gonna let this toddler practice shoving things up my ass? Have I not been through enough? So I look to Chris for help, and he's biting his lip, and his eyes are watering. And I realize that he's laughing. And I know that the last 3 weeks have been tough on him too. And I'm sure he is desperate for some comic relief right about now. But you know who doesn't find this funny at all? Me. And I suspect baby nurse, so I look back at her, hoping maybe she'll throw me a lifeline. The smile is gone from her face, and her eyes are wide open, and I imagine she is rethinking her decision to go to nursing school right about now. So if she's having an existential crisis, she can't help me either. I resign myself to my fate. This is happening and I cannot stop it. My ass, however, is not ready to surrender. So Michelle has to pry open my butt cheeks for baby nurse. And I think, well, this is it. This is the lowest moment of my life. I've had a cardiac arrest and died, but this, it does not get lower than this. And then Michelle begins to coach baby nurse through the insertion process in a stage whisper while still holding my ass open. Just put it in, just push it in. Don't be shy, just push it in. It's fine. There you go. Keep going, you have to go until you're past the sphincter. Keep going. What are you doing? You have to get it past the sphincter. Are you past the sphincter? Can you feel if you're past the sphincter? I can feel she's past the sphincter. But apparently my voice has followed my dignity out of the room about 10 minutes ago. So I just lie there watching Chris now shake with uncontrollable laughter and wait for the two of them to realize that the sphincter has been breached. When it's over, I look at baby nurse and she looks at me. And everything I feel on the inside, I can see all over her face. Humiliation, shame, regret for every life choice that brought us both to this moment. And I comfort myself with the knowledge that soon I will be home and my ass will belong to me again. Baby nurse, though, her journey dealing with asses is just beginning.